Hi everyone, Pam Gregory, astrologer. I'm going to be speaking to you today about the first half of April and the full moon that we have coming up in Libra on either the 5th or the 6th, depending on where in the world you live. Now, this is the 7th in a row of 7 full moons at 16 degrees of their sign. Really remarkable. And as I've mentioned several times before, the 16th card in the tarot deck is the Tower, and we really are at this absolute pivot point. In fact, I believe as I'm speaking, I'm recording this at the equinox, on the day of the equinox, but this coming week we are absolutely going over that tipping point, because the energy's coming in, the high frequency energy, the new light codes coming in, particularly around the 22nd, 23rd, are enabling new timelines, much higher timelines, to become available to us. And I mentioned again in a previous video that March, April, May are going to be game changer months, and indeed they are. So from this point on, even more than we have been in our lives, we are going to be moving forwards on very individual timelines, and that's just fine. There's no judgment in that. There's no competition. If you've ever been to a yoga class, they will say run your own race. Doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. So depending on our soul contract, depending on our soul history, we are going to be very much on those individual timelines. But just aim high, aim for love, aim for joy, aim for peace, and that will keep you on those higher timelines that are emerging, that weren't even available to us before now. So an incredibly strong week for energy and astrology this last week of March, that I'm filming. So we're entering a really different episode for humanity, as I think many of you are becoming aware. And this week feels like a real solid initiation for New Earth. So believe that, step into it with all of your being. Know that from this point on, we are absolutely focused, not on the past, not on the collapsing scenery, but on creating New Earth in force, with momentum. We are coming together as humanity. The more of us that do that, the easier this gets. And even at this full moon, which I'm going to be talking about in a moment, we still have 4 planets in Eris. Now, this initiatory energy has been incredibly strong at the new moon in Eris, which was just within a few hours of the equinox on the 21st of March. We had 6 orbiting bodies, 6 planets if you include Chiron and Eris, in Aries. Incredibly strong. This is warrior energy. It's pioneering. It's a whole new start energy. It's very focused on a whole new beginning. So whether for you that is a personal new beginning, new episode, see where the sign of Aries falls in your chart. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can download a free birth chart from my website, pamgregory.com. Go to this link below and you can buy a 2-part video series from my store, which really you can use for every single update I ever do to infinity, to understand what these updates mean for you in your own life, or whether we're seeing this warrior energy play out on the world stage in a bigger way. Try and diffuse that. Don't buy into it. Don't quantum entangle with it. Stay in your own bubble of peace, because that's also what this full moon in Libra is about. So let me share the chart with you now, and I can walk you through it. So here we have the full moon in Libra. This is happening, as I say, straddling the 5th or 6th of April in the UK, where I live. It's happening on the 6th at 4:34. That's UK time, but you'll have to readjust this for your own time zone. So ignore the houses, ignore the clock face. Just look at where the planets fall and their aspects to each other. So as I say, a real lineup of planets in Aries. We have Chiron, the Sun, Jupiter, and also we have Eris, which isn't shown here, but Eris is at 24 degrees of Aries as well. So 4 planets in Aries. Also, Mars remains very strong. It was on the world axis at 0 of Cancer. Remember, 0 of the cardinal signs is considered to be on the world axis. Crossed that world axis on the 25th of March and remains what is technically out of bounds beyond the normal 23 degrees north or south of the ecliptic until early May. So the whole of April, Mars is out of bounds, and Mars rules Aries. So again, this hypes up this very strong assertive energy, but it's step into, to use it much more productively and positively, step into your courage, your sovereignty, your autonomy, your individuality, your independence, and particularly think about initiating a new episode from you, because these energies aren't just same old once a year. We have this partly because there are more planets in Aries at this time, principally Jupiter here. The Sun is conjunct Jupiter, which I'll talk about in a moment, but also because of the bigger backdrop of these massive energies that are shifting in our world and in our cosmos. So, as I say, we have the Sun conjunct Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is a wonderful planet. It's linked to higher consciousness, it's linked to expansion, it's linked to a future vision, it's linked to reaching out to the cosmos, so it's linked to long distance travel, space travel, that kind of thing. And because it is conjunct the Sun, it again expands this Aries energy, expands this sense of I am. I have a strong sense of center. I know who I am. What Aries is very good at as well is living in the present moment and actually seeing things very simply. You know, that you can set a goal and find a very direct, efficient route to get to it. It's very simple. I'm just going to go do it. So it's a joyful energy in that way. It's a high achieving energy. So set your goals, but develop this very strong sense of self. Aries is brilliant at that, but also living in the present moment, because that's the only place truly we can find our power. We can't find it from the past. We're not yet in the future. We drop into the present moment, and that's where we find our power. Now, certainly, health issues and healing issues are going to be very highlighted as well at this full moon. And what a full moon does, it's always when the Sun and Moon are opposite each other, so we can see here. What a full moon does is either form a completion or a crescendo or a culmination or a closure. So see where 16 degrees of Libra falls in your chart, because look to that house area of life for you in terms of what this could be representing. But remember, with full moons, they also shine a light on what we didn't know before. So this could be shining a light on a lot of issues to do with health and healing, because that conjunction is, my goodness, only 15 minutes apart from exactitude from the Sun and Chiron. It is also, let's think about the qualities of Libra. Libra is about balance, fairness, harmony, cooperation that we want in relationship. It helps to diffuse in a way because it's the opposite sign, but it helps to diffuse a lot of this very assertive energy that we have with the Aries lineup. It is a call for peace with whatever's happening in the world. But I think importantly as well, Libra is one of the 2 signs, along with Sagittarius, that is linked to the law, because it's the scales of justice. So again and again and again, people who enter the law, I either see strong Libra emphasis or I see strong Sagittarius emphasis. Sagittarius very much linked to truth and justice, but so is Libra. And so we could be, indeed we are, seeing some very, very important legal cases. happening at the moment that are moving forwards. One of them I know that is really major was initiated around the time of the last full moon in Virgo, which you may remember, if you go back to my previous video, was conjunct Orcus. Now, Orcus is the Etruscan god, dwarf planet, Etruscan god in myth of the underworld, who punishes oath breakers, those who violate sacred law and the divine order. So it's very interesting that one of these big cases was registered at that time. But it's ongoing here with the full moon in Libra. So we are shining a light on all of those things. So not only do we have Jupiter conjunct the sun, but also Jupiter conjunct the moon. So this is going to inspire us with a future vision, a bigger future vision that is linked to greater wisdom, higher consciousness, a greater understanding, I think, of our larger cosmos. That's going to be something that is going to expand and expand and expand as we go through these next couple of decades. But what is interesting here, and I haven't drawn Eris in, as I say, but she's at 24 degrees of Aries, so around here, just wasn't quite enough space here. But Jupiter is actually at the degree, exactly by midpoint by degree of the Sun and Eris. So it's expanding this wonderful Aries energy I've talked about when used positively. It's also expanding the energy of Eris. Now, Eris, as you may remember, dwarf planet, has a 560-year orbit, so she's spending a long time in Aries. In myth, she is the warrior goddess of Mars, very much the female counterpart. She's known as the goddess of discord and chaos because the myth goes that she was the only goddess who wasn't invited to the big wedding on Mount Olympus, so she turned up anyway and created mayhem by throwing a golden apple into the throng of goddesses and saying, "For the fairest." And they all scrapped over the golden apple to determine who was the fairest. And this is said to have led to the Trojan War. So she takes no prisoners. Eris is utterly uncompromising. She will fight to the end. She's to get her way. And her way is very connected not only to natural law, not man-made law, but also she stands, because of the myth, she stands for every voice being heard, nobody on the periphery, nobody excluded. So complete social inclusion. She also stands for justice, to remedy that. Now, justice linking to our big theme of Libra with the law. So she wants to see, and as I say, she will not give in. She's absolutely uncompromising. She's very much connected to the truth. And particularly in Aries, where she's going to stay for several more years, she's fighting for our principles. Total social inclusion, not this kind of social division, separation that we've seen really through all of our lifetimes. But she's also very linked to, by definition, rebellious and revolutionary energy. And this is actually a very strong theme in the chart, not only that Jupiter is conjunct Eris and Jupiter's at the midpoint of the Sun and Eris, but also because the moon here, the moon is in a very tight quincunx, 150-degree aspect, to Uranus. The moon in mundane astrology stands for the people. Uranus is the planet of rebellion and revolution. So here we see revolutionary and rebellious people determined to bring forward the truth. Uranus, the planet of awakening. I think big time of awakening through April and May, big time. Have you seen what's been going on in Paris recently? Have you seen what's been going on in the Netherlands recently? So this energy is going to come forward even more strongly, emphasized yet again by Pluto having just entered Aquarius. And this is huge. I still have to do another entire video on Pluto in Aquarius, but I've referred to it several times. So Pluto is going to intensify the energy of Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus, which is to do with rebellion, revolution, truth, awakening. It's also going to bring forward a huge amount of innovation in technology, in medicine, in science, in aviation. But Pluto's process, as I've mentioned in previous videos, is also to bring forward the shadow side, i.e. any corruption linked to the qualities of those signs that it's moving through. And here, Aquarius is about science and technology. So Pluto, even though it's only in Aquarius for a short time this year, from now till, well, from the 23rd of March till the 11th of June, is going to begin to uncover any corruption around science and technology. It will do that, as I say, in this 2.5-month glimpse, but it will also continue to do it in a very big way next year, where it spends 9 months in Aquarius and then ultimately moves fully into Aquarius in December 2024 for 20 years. But this will also, again, Aquarius linked to truth, awakening, but also Pluto will help to accelerate the many communities and collaborations which are appearing all over the world. They are really galvanizing and accelerating right now. They're forming a grid of light across the world. So a lot of feisty, uppity, revolutionary energy, but as I say, truth and justice being very strong. Now, the planet that rules Libra is Venus. So Venus is in another of its signs, very happily in Taurus here, but it also is conjunct Uranus. So again, it's highlighting all of this Uranian energy that I've been speaking about. Now, the Venus-Uranus conjunction, if it falls in your 5th house or your 7th house of romantic relationships, and again, check in your own chart, use the videos below to do that, that could bring in a sudden romantic relationship out of the blue with somebody who could be younger, foreign, very different background to you. And it could be a bit of a wild ride. It could be a very on-off, here, gone, yes, no kind of relationship. If you're in a romantic relationship, it could bring up a greater urge for freedom and independence as well, so beware of that. It can bring quite a lot of financial instability and volatility, because Taurus is the sign of banking and wealth and money, and that's reinforced by Venus being in that sign too. So there could be, really, I think, April, May are very big months for financial volatility and turbulence. But in addition to this, what's interesting is that Venus, the ruler of this full moon, is conjunct a fixed star called Algol, ALGOL, at 26 degrees 10 minutes of Taurus. And remember, fixed stars barely move. They only move a degree in a lifetime, every 72 years. But Algol doesn't have a great reputation. It is very linked to decapitation. So leaders, people in prominent positions of power can fall. They can lose their heads at this time. Now, this can also, as well as that aspect of Algol, it can refer to people losing their heads in other ways, because I think with all of the truth, the revelation, the awakening happening, the unveiling of things that will accelerate under the bright light of this full moon, we could see people losing their heads, as it were, because Pluto moving into Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, it's like interference on the television set. It's higher mind, but it can be very highly charged mind, where it's hard to find peace. And one of the benefits of this full moon in Libra is it reminds us to drop back into the breath, drop into peace, drop into stillness. All through your days, find several times when you can just drop into stillness, into peace, into joy, and just have that sense of being here now in the moment. and connecting to your center, connecting to that sense of anchor and power. And that will serve you well, because we are moving into, with all of these very rapid changes in the world, we are moving into quite a period of uncertainty through this year and next. So just know that. Make your anchor yourself, your center, your breath, your heart, and bare feet on the earth, nature. That's what I would strongly recommend, all for free. The other thing, which I've done a separate video on Pluto squaring the nodal axis, and I really recommend you watch that, because that is a huge part of 2023. It lasts until November this year, that aspect, and it's very strong from April till mid-July. So here we can see Pluto is in a square to the north node, and the south node is always opposite the north node, so it's actually a T-square. And so I'll leave you to look at that video, because there's so much in that video about what does that mean for all of us, Pluto squaring the nodal axis. And in short, it is about a massive, fundamental social and structural, also political change in our societies across the world. That will continue all of this year. A lot of demolition, a lot of rebuilding from the bare bones, from the grassroots up. Pluto is death and rebirth, takes things right down to the bare bones, and then we rebuild. And with all of our understanding and knowledge, we will rebuild it in a much more beautiful way than it has been, than it has existed in our lifetime, and many lifetimes indeed. Pluto here is also square to Mercury, and this increases this theme of wanting to dig deep to get to the truth, find out the secrets, reveal what has been hidden. Pluto's always connected to what's been hidden, and Pluto Mercury aspects are always to do with digging deep, research, let's find the truth. It's also to do with being drawn to esoteric subjects, very profound subjects as well. Now, we may at this time, with all of this change going on, because Eris energy is also very linked to our root chakra. You know, how secure do we feel in our world? Because we are into eclipse energy. The eclipses this year are going to be just enormous, and we are already right at the beginning of April into that energy, and I'll be talking about the solar eclipse in the next video. But this can shake, for some of us, our root chakra, our base chakra. So there is a feeling coming in here of a lot of activity to protect our family, our loved ones, our home, you know, what we know as emotional security. And what helps us is that Mars is in this very lovely trine to Saturn. So we are building a new form of security for the long term. Saturn is always about building for the long term. And what is even nicer here is Mars is actually sextile the North Node, our future collective destiny, and so is Saturn. They're just forming sextiles on either side. So this is really giving us a lot of opportunities, a lot of easy opportunities to build those new frameworks as we move forwards in a very, very different collective destiny. So I'm going to stop sharing here. And it's hard to overstate the enormity of the times we're living in. We are absolutely in the crucible of this shift from the old world to the new. So please, please, please don't give life support to what we absolutely don't want. Focus all your love, your joy, your attention, your creativity towards creating something way, way better. And remember, these astrological energies are simply there as modeling clay for us to mold into something better. It's only 50% of the picture, as I keep saying. We are the co-creators, the co-participants, the co-producers. So step into that Aries energy. Step into your hero. Step into your pioneer. Step into your spiritual warrior. Because when you look back on this time in history, I'm going really goosebumpy now, you've got to feel proud. When you're explaining to your children, your grandchildren, you've got to feel proud. What was your legacy? What was your role? What did you do? Even if you're just a mum at home or a housewife at home, we can do so much with our energy. What did you stand for? What did you work with? What did you create? What can you put your individual stamp on? Aries energy, to create this new earth that we are truly, fully, energetically entering this week, the last week of March. Now, there could well be a lot of drama at the 3D level this week. The energy is huge, and I think we can all feel it. So fully expect that. It's going to get louder. It's going to get more hollow. Just know that. As the scenery collapses, the voices get louder. Just be aware that that is such great evidence of the old world collapsing, that we really have outgrown big time. It's a thrilling time to be alive, absolutely thrilling. And just know how those grassroots up groups are growing so fast across the world. So I hope that's helped you. If you'd like information about my books, my teaching videos, my long monthly newsletters, check out my website, pamgregory.com. And I will be back very soon with a big video about the solar eclipse coming up on the 19th, 20th of April. Enormous to change our world. God bless. Bye for now. See you very soon.